So let's say you found the skeleton. How would you tell it's a dinosaur? You personally, how would you decide?
Well, interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on that.
Hey everybody, the Dapper Dinosaur here. I am not, in fact, currently joined by Jackson Wheat, but he is on his way. He says, well, okay, to be fair, his wife says that he's late. So, which, by the way, Jackson's wife once painted me a very nice picture of Dapper Dinosaur, and I really appreciate that. So, yeah, big thanks to Mrs. Jackson. I guess that would be Mrs. Wheat. It's not like Jackson Wheat's name is a secret. It's literally the name of his channel. So yeah, there we go. All right, so I hope everyone is doing well. We are here primarily to talk about bad Jackson, which is why we have good Jackson here as a sort of a dichotomy. But right now, it's just me. So I feel like I already said that. I'm just rambling. That's okay. Today I have some Baja Blast with some silver tequila, and I have no idea how it's going to be. So, we'll find out when we get our first drink trigger, huh? Speaking of which, if you are new here and you're not used to my Tuesday streams, we do a drinking game. Now, the first thing I want to say about the drinking game is, first, it is completely optional. You do not have to play along. I will not even be in the least upset if you don't. It's fine. It's just for fun. And if that's not fun for you, then please don't do it. You're still welcome here. The second thing I want to say is if you decide you want to play along, but you're not sure if you want to play along with alcohol, or you just absolutely know that you don't want to play along with alcohol, that's fine too. Play along with whatever you want. You want to play along with water, juice, tea, soda, coffee, the vape pen, eating chips, all of those things are fine. But if you do decide to play along with an intoxicating substance, please know your limits, pace yourself, and don't afterwards go out and operate heavy machinery, drive a vehicle, fly an airplane, or text your ex. Just don't do those things. They're really, really bad ideas. Now, that being said, please do remember that the Dapper Dinosaur channel, as well as me personally, Dapper Dinosaur, as well as Jackson Wheat, and anyone else associated, we do not take responsibility or liability for any of the dumb things that you do after playing along with a Dapper Dinosaur drinking game. So, this is a drink at your own risk. As it always is, actually. You're always drinking at your own risk, including right now. So, that being said, let's go through some of the drink triggers. First of all, we will take a drink if Charles Jackson here says something that's so dumb we just kind of have no choice, but we need to cool our brains off. Also, take a drink if Dr. Jackson tells a joke that doesn't land or tells a story that didn't happen. Now, that one is a bit of a judgment call. You know, we can't be certain if any of his stories happened. But if it sounds like something that he actually just pulled off of r/that happened, or it ends with and everybody clapped, or it seems more like an argument that he had with a shampoo bottle than with a real person, yeah, we're going to take a drink for that. We'll also take a drink if Dr. Charles Jackson mentions the Nazis. He doesn't have to call anyone one. He just has to mention them, because creationists bring them up all the time. We'll also take a drink if Dr. Charles Jackson cites a source, and we check that source, and rather than supporting his claim, it actively contradicts his claim, we'll take a drink for Trojan source. Now, it's not quite the same as just not supporting, right? Because sometimes he might cite a source, and it just doesn't address the claim. Not a Trojan source. We'll give him a pass on that one. We'll also take a drink if either myself or Jackson, if he shows up, can actually successfully predict what Charles Jackson is going to argue. We'll also take a drink if Charles Jackson mixes up what we can know about Lucy, the single specimen of Australopithecus afarensis, with what we can know about any wider taxon to which she belongs. So, for instance, if he says, well, we don't know if Australopithecus could walk upright because Lucy's hip was shattered. Well, we have other non-shattered hips. And guess what? They're consistent with bipedality. So who cares? Let's see. I think that's all the ones that he can trigger. We'll also take a drink if anyone here super chats or membership milestone chats anything to the effect that answers in Genesis are a bag of dicks, because, well, I mean, they are. So, yeah. Let's see. We'll also take a drink if anyone's membership milestone chats or super chats anything with our kaiju emojis that are just for our members. That includes Ghidorah, Mothra, and Godzilla. We'll also take a drink for each gifted membership up to about 30, at which point I'll just drink my drink, which, I remind you, is an entire glass full of tequila and Baja Blast. So, that'd be a lot. All right. Last but not least, we will take a drink if I screw up the production. So, for instance, if I accidentally mute myself, or mute the video, or Jackson, or if I switch to the wrong scene, or anything like that, that's a Dapper's a professional. We take a drink for those. Now, the thing there is that it has to be me that makes the mistake. So, for instance, if YouTube goes down, well, then that's not me. We don't take a drink for that. All right, I think that is it. I just want to say we do have a super chat goal. If we can get 30 of the teal super chats before the stream ends, I will do what it says in the poll, and also will unleash myself and the guest if he shows up, which basically means we'll stop trying not to swear. So the two options are English as she is spoke reading, which is, in case you're not familiar, English as she is spoke was a Portuguese to English phrase book by Jose de Fonseca, who basically looked at a Portuguese to French phrase book and then looked up each word in the French side in a French to English dictionary, and then just wrote those down and compiled that and turned it into his own Portuguese to English phrase book. But you might not know this, but that's not how translation works. You can't just take the words from French and write down the gloss into English and then come up with like meaningful and correct English sentences. Yeah. So also the other option is I'll wear a suit on Saturday. So basically I'll put on my human suit and I'll put on a suit on top of that, and we'll do that. Right now though, it looks like English as she is spoke is winning, but hey, you never know. You could vote and change that. We only have 49 votes and we have 59 people watching, so like, you know, it could change. I also want to say, if you were trying to watch my stream from Saturday, currently YouTube says that it is processing, and some people have had trouble getting it to play, basically just unable to make it play. I don't know why it is that it would be processing so late, but that's what I'm getting from the YouTube studio. It says processing will begin within 24 hours. I don't know. I can't contact YouTube because I'm far too small a channel for that. So, like, if you were hoping to see that stream, check back in a couple days, I guess. I don't know. I'm sorry about that. All right. I think that is it. What if YouTube goes down because Dapper broke it? Says the weirdo CKA Evans. I guess we take a drink for that. Yeah, I guess so. So last time when we were here, Charles Jackson was telling us that he had managed to get the atheist club at the University of Texas, El Paso, to accept that they believed in miracles. We already took a drink for that being a story that didn't happen, as far as I remember, because that doesn't sound like a thing that happened, especially since he followed it up by explaining that it's because the Big Bang violates all the laws of physics. I would love to know how it violates, say, Bernoulli's principle, but, like, okay, sure, maybe. Except, it doesn't. So, like, there's that. So, yeah, I have no idea why he's telling this obviously fake story. The closest it might have come is that he was getting really, really annoying, and so they just kind of told him whatever they thought would shut him up and make him go away. I guess that could be the case. But yeah, also I'm seeing a lot of trans rights, or well, trans pride flags, so yes, trans rights. I'm not sure what started it, but I'm okay with it. In fact, I encourage it. Just be careful you don't spam too many, because YouTube has been known to be angry about too many emojis in too short a time. So yeah. All right, well, without that, any further ado, I don't know when Jackson will be here. He was supposed to be here a few minutes ago, but he's not. So let's just hit play, and if Jackson shows up, then Jackson shows up, and if he doesn't, well, then we got Jackson without Jackson, and I will change the name of the stream later to reflect that. Here we go.
You believe in the origin of life, which goes against all the laws of biochemistry.
I mean, it doesn't. One of the ways that you can tell is that none of the things that are in any of the origin of life research papers violate any laws of chemistry. And you can tell because they're getting the experiments done and getting positive results. So, yeah. Like, if they were violating laws of chemistry, then what actually needs to happen is that we need to change the laws of chemistry. And oh my goodness, listen to who is here, because it is, in fact, Jackson.
Who is it?
Jackson.
Oh, he's here?
He is here.
Okay. Whew, that was close.
Jackson,
I was
buddy.
waiting for a second there.
How you doing?
It's me.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm doing Gucci. How are you doing?
Not like an expensive handbag, I'll tell you that.
Oh, I am like an expensive handbag in that I am uh never used. I'm only for show.
Mm,
So yeah, there you go.
okay, all right. That I'm not sure how true that is, but sure. I'm not gonna argue with you about it.
I ran a little bit over time in class, and so
How dare
then I was like, I gotta run. We were talking about enzymes. Telling
enzymes?
all the children about enzymes and adenosine triphosphate and all
Okay.
that fun stuff and osmosis and diffusion.
Now I know because logical, probable, plausible told me that ribose is a
Okay.
protein, but is it an enzyme?
Yes. Might as well be. I mean, why
Okay,
not?
right. Okay. Just wanted to double check.
All right.
I actually
The
found
guy who's
myself.
gonna debunk abiogenesis.
Yep, doesn't know the difference between a sugar and a protein.
Yep.
I actually found myself on his channel, like watching, not that long ago, because I was like, I wonder what's up
My
out there.
condolences.
Yeah, well, so he had an interview or a talk or whatever with Rob Stadler, whose voice is like
Right.
sandpaper inside my ears. I don't know what it is about that guy. I cannot listen to him for very long. But also, like, he's just so boring. Everything's like,
Yeah.
well, this wasn't a double-blind clinical trial of paleontology, so that sounds like it's low-confidence science. Like, what the hell are you even talking about? What is this?
Dapper, did you know there's only one type of science, and that is only double-blind, placebo-controlled studies? Ecological studies? No. Observational studies? No. Like, who cares about these things? These don't
Not
exist.
real. Yeah.
No,
Fake.
sorry.
Doesn't count. Not science.
There's only one type of science.
Yeah. Also, I love that in his entire book where he's like, I'm going to refute the entire basis for evolutionary biology. It's like, does he ever mention hypothesis testing? Of course not. He's an engineer, not a scientist. What does he care? Let's see. Pat O Logic for 25 Polish Lodi says, what is it? 5 trans flags. There we go. A few letters, not to angry YouTube. 5 trans pride flags. Here's some more, and then 5 more. Thank you very much. And of course, we do support the trans rights here at the Dapper Dinosaur channel. Trans rights are in fact human rights, and the easy way to tell is trans people are human. Did you know that, Jackson?
True.
Yeah.
I did. We like our trans over here.
Yeah. I mean,
trans for everyone, in fact. That's what I've always said.
No, only for people who want it is my go-to.
Okay. Right. Yes, that's what I meant. Yes.
And just like with cis people, I generally take trans people on a case-by-case basis while maintaining an initial level of optimism that you're going to be pretty cool, that you can then lower or raise. Because it turns out that that's how I do with humans. Humans, generally, in my experience, overall, tend to be okay. But sometimes they go up or down in that estimation. And that includes cis people, trans people, queer people, straight people,
enol people, keto people.
Yeah. So like that's just my general vibe is like, hey, I'm probably going to assume that you're pretty cool. Don't make me think otherwise.
I was making a chemistry joke.
Yes.
You said cis and trans.
I know.
Enol and keto.
Dutch Tunicate Official for $5 says double-blind paleontology is when you blindfold the paleontologist and randomize which site to send them to, so they hope they dressed appropriately.
Oh, sending like someone who's used to doing like digging in like the Fium to the Arctic Circle.
Yeah, shows up in like short shorts. I'm like, oh no. That would be pretty great.
I'm gonna get hypothermia.
You know what? You didn't need all those therms anyway. Who cares?
I've met people who have dug in both the I've read of people who have dug in the Arctic, and I met a woman who has dug in the Antarctic.
Wow. I would pass. Look, as much as I think paleontology is cool and there's a whole bunch of cool paleontology to be done in both the Arctic and Antarctic, nope, not for me. Other people can do that.
100%.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you.
Actually, you know, there's like blizzard stuff happening out east. And a guy that Bent knows said that there was a meter of snow in his place. And I thought to myself, I have never been happier to have moved out of the Northeast and be living in Arizona, where it just doesn't, like, the part of Arizona where it doesn't really snow. Like, thank goodness. That's not me. I would be
Yeah, we
losing
had
it.
snow here, and it was awful. We were stuck inside for like 3-4 days. It was gross.
Jeez. That does suck.
Yeah, nothing was open.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I wouldn't open either if I were a business. Fortunately, I am a business, but no one needs to drive to get to this business. They only need an internet connection. So, like,
You're only going to give them the business.
yeah, I'm like the post office. You know, rain, hail, sleet, snow, doesn't matter. Dapper Dinosaur's here. Or maybe sometimes someone else if I take a vacation, because I need someone to fill those time slots. But anyway, Jackson, are you ready for some Bad Jackson? We already went over the drinking rules. We already actually played a little bit of Bad Jackson.
I'm as ready as I am ever going to be.
All right.
And then you believe in how that one little bacterial cell, if we give you that,
Luca wouldn't have been a bacterium. Just putting that out there.
Wouldn't have been an arcane either.
Yeah, it would have been Luca, which is just what it is. All the other groups that you can think of diverged later.
Went against everything we know in genetic science and became giraffes and cheetahs and blue whales and pterodactyls and owls and people and hamsters.
Okay. I'm going to take a drink because this is very dumb, and then we're going to talk about it a little bit. You know what? Tequila and Mountain Dew, the Baja Blast, that does actually work. It tastes kind of like a margarita.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's pretty good. All right. So, here's the thing. The reason that we accept like evolutionary biology as it stands now is because of the laws of genetics, as he calls them. So, like, everything we know about genetics indicates that it is in fact true that universal common ancestry is like how modern species came to be a thing. And so I know that he disagrees about that, but simply stating it doesn't really help. He would have to actually give us reasons why it couldn't happen. And I don't know if you remember all the other times that we've been here, Jackson, but has he ever given us a single good reason to think that universal common ancestry isn't true?
I cannot think of a time.
Yeah. Not once. In fact, usually what he's been doing is either just saying things that are like untrue on like the level of like, I don't know, the sun is actually purple. Like, no, it's not. That's just wrong. That's dumb. There's no reason to think that. We can tell it's not. You just look. Untrue on that level. Or sometimes he's just been describing evolution and saying, see, that's not evolution, when it very much is. So, yeah. I'll hit play again, unless you have anything else you want to add there, good Jackson.
I like that he was just listing every animal he knows.
Yeah, that is
like this bit's gonna go on infinitely. And owls and penguins and hummingbirds and hippos.
Or he's just gonna run out of animals to name. Which reminds me, so Zerolon, who I believe is in chat right now, showed me this website, metazua.com, which asks you to guess an animal. I think they have like 1,000 or so of them. And you just type in an animal, and it will tell you if you're right or not. But if you're wrong, it will then tell you a clade to which that animal belongs, and that will allow you to like narrow down. So like I guessed.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So
I've played that game with friends. Yeah.
It's pretty good right now. I'm at the point where like, well, so for one thing, like they don't have all the animals, right? So like when you start typing in, it will give you like an autocomplete list. So you can kind of tell like which ones are there and which ones aren't. So like it only has like 2 centipedes for like all of Myriapoda as near as I can tell. So like whatever. But I'm at the point now where I'm pretty consistently under 10 guesses, and usually I'm around 5, which is not too bad.
Yeah. Yeah, so when I went down to I took my class down to Cocodrie, Louisiana, where LumCon is. That's the Louisiana Marine Consortium. And one of my friends who was doing the class with me, he had me play this game. I made it not fun very quickly
Oh no.
because I would just run the clades.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He'd be like, yeah, he's like, okay, so it's an animal. I'm like, okay. Is is this an invertebrate or a vertebrate? Oh, it's a vertebrate. Okay, is this a fish or a tetrapod? Let's tetrapod. Okay, is it? And then, like basically, I just do that,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it wasn't fun playing with me in that game. It's like, it has to
Aphrotheria
be
or Boreoeutheria?
right. Yeah, you get to the point where it's like, I mean, because all phylogenetics is it's like it's binary, so it's going to be this or it's going to be that, and then we're just going to go down that branch. Is it the next 1 or 0? Is it the next 1 or 0? Just that. So
I mean, it's the most efficient way to play.
mm-hmm.
Did you know that the growth hormone in a hamster is the same molecule as in a blue whale?
I mean,
Okay.
I didn't know that, but that doesn't sound in any way surprising or like a problem for evolution.
You're telling me that mammals share like a core set of growth hormones? That's bananas. Who could have ever foreseen that a related group would share a homologous set of proteins? Who could have foreseen this?
Yeah, like that doesn't seem at all surprising. What are they laughing at? What is happening?
I don't know. What was the joke?
I don't know.
It was just a statement. It wasn't even a funny statement.
2 proteins are the same. Okay. What? And?
God has a sense of humor.
What is the joke? Someone,
I guess one small, one big. I guess.
Is that it? Is that just it? Is that it? Is it just one big, one small?
I think that's it. I think that's it, because he said it's the growth hormone for a hamster and a blue whale, and it's the same. And then he smiled and waited for a laugh.
But it's also the same for all humans, and all humans don't grow to the same height.
Yeah.
So why would it be surprising that would be also the case for a wider group of organisms?
I don't know. I guess because
I'm so confused.
Well, I guess because so you could make okay. No, if they were created kinds, the prediction that I would make, if I'm thinking these are all separate kinds, is that blue whales and hamsters wouldn't have the same growth hormones. They would have different ones because they were created separately. Why would I use the same growth hormone for these separately created groups? So like this doesn't make sense under creationism. This makes more sense under evolution.
I'm gonna hit play because I'm pretty sure that just damaged my brain.
It's psychic damage.
Yeah, like seriously. I think I just got mind blasted like he's a mind flayer or something.
Jesus had a sense of humor. Remember? Boanerges, the sons of thunder. What do you think, guys? Should we call fire down from heaven to kill these people because they didn't like us? Will you stop that? They said,
This is bizarre.
Is that what happened, Dapper? Is that an accurate rendition of what occurred?
I don't remember any story about Jesus telling people to stop trying to call down fire from any of the Gospels. That doesn't sound familiar at all.
I'm okay. Well, I kind of want to look this up now. So what do you say again? Jesus stops people from calling down on enemies, I guess.
And Becca Justiniano, yes, you should all roll your saving throw against psychic damage.
it said that Jesus, ever after then, when they suggested that they call down fire from heaven to, like Elijah did, it said ever after that Jesus
called
this
is
in
that. Luke.
It was a running
Apparently.
joke.
Okay, cool.
This is in Luke. I get all right.
I must have forgotten that story. Thanks, Sunday school.
In this group,
the real
of
question
12,
is, what is the relevance?
Yeah, I have no clue. I guess he's just saying that Jesus told a joke once, which, like, okay. Mage grade coder says /r space 1d20. Sorry, I don't have that bot installed.
friends that were the most amazing group that Jesus picked out of the most ordinary men he could find. And then they became Peter, the rock of the church, John, the divine, these people whose lives and deaths were legendary and powerful. They tried to martyr John, and they couldn't. The church history says that he survived boiling in oil, so they decided, well, we can't kill him, let's exile him. These people...
Relevance? Relevance?
Yeah, I don't know. Also, I want to point out that our stories of John being unsuccessfully killed and then exiled, that's not really a part of history per se. Those are part of somewhat late Christian traditions. And while I can't say that they're definitely untrue, we don't have a whole lot of great evidence that they are true. So those are things that are sort of like, I don't know, maybe.
Like that's the Apocrypha sort of stuff?
It's not even in the Apocrypha. Like, it's just later, like, hagiography.
Oh, okay.
Turn the world up. They that have turned the world upside down have come here too. And when we came to the world of science, which used to be run by creationists.
Okay, I want to make this clear. There was a time when virtually all scientists accepted the idea of divine creation, but that was primarily because there were no viable alternatives, and that was just sort of a default. There was never a time when science was more or less run by creationists after viable alternatives were found, and also found to actually be able to make predictions and be able to pass falsification tests with, like, flying colors. So it's sort of like saying, oh, there was once a time when all the most educated people believed the earth was flat. Yep, that's true.
Yeah, like 300 BC.
Yeah, and it's just one of those like, and
what's funny about that too is he's being disingenuous also, because of Charles Jackson, of course.
Obviously.
Since like the late 1600s, you had like Nicholas Steno, and then you had William Smith in like the 1700s, and other people who recognized that the earth had to be ancient, at least millions of years old, long before Darwin was ever even born. You had like a century of geologists who were like, the earth can't be young. It can't be a few like 1,000 years old, or 10,000 years at the max. And that was already mainstream by the time Charles Darwin was on the scene, which is why he took Principles of Uniformitarianism by Charles Lyell with him on the Beagle.
Sure did.
Because that was already mainstream in science. And then when Darwin published Origin of Species, pretty much everybody got in line with the idea of universal common ancestry very quickly. Natural selection outside of England took a bit longer. You had a period known as the eclipse of Darwinism, because in like France, for instance, you still had Lamarckism that was cropping up, which Darwin didn't actually dispute technically. Darwin used Lamarckism as a mechanism of evolution. But there were a lot of fights among biologists as to the actual power of natural selection. And so it wasn't until the 1930s that you had like R.A. Fisher and Sewell Wright, J.B.S. Haldane, who mathematically demonstrated that natural selection is sufficient on its own to cobble together variations to produce adaptations. And so like this idea that, ooh, it was all just creation. Yeah, like in the 1600s, like you're really happy that 400 years ago, before we knew anything about the earth, people were young earth creationists. Like that's kind of pathetic.
Right. Back before geology and biology were even really things.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of pathetic.
They're scared of us.
Dude, most scientists don't even know that you exist.
It's
like,
true.
If you tell a scientist, like, oh, I spend time debunking creationists, their immediate response is going to be like, wait, they're still around?
I can't tell you the number of times I've had that exact interaction. It's like multiple times. They look at you with bewilderment in their eyes.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, they still are. Just like flat earthers. Still around, turns out.
They're scared of truth.
Bro. We're not the ones studiously ignoring 90% of the data on any field that we bother to talk about. That's not us. That's not the scientists. That's not anything that's going on. It is going on with creationism though. And you know who helped me figure that one out? The guys who collected a whole bunch of data for some book. What was the book called, Jackson?
The Rocks were there, Volume 1. And
Oh.
great news, Dapper. I was actually about to plug this if you weren't about to plug it. We are hot on Volume 2. I'm almost done with with editing Chapter 3, sorry. Which is all about space. And so RJ drafted that. I'm editing it. So we're done with so once I'm done with this, we'll be done with chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4. RJ's editing my chapter 5 that I sent to him. I've got to edit chapter 6, and then I just have to write or draft chapter 7, and then have RJ edit that one. And then we'll be done. So we're actually getting pretty close.
Grievous for sorry.
No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Grievous for 50, Polar's Lodi says, new drink trigger, a non-joke that landed. Basically, I mean, we did drink for it. Yeah, pretty much.
True. But what's been fun reading RJ's space chapter is how many times creationists basically said some aspect of physics was fake and gay until it became undeniable, and then the creationists had to bring it into their field, and then say, actually, we predicted this all along. And they do that so many times. Like in biology, like the same thing. Like, for instance, they've denied like the horse sequence, right? They said horses didn't evolve, or the modern horse didn't evolve from Heracitherium. They deny. And now they're like, actually, all horses in the family Equidae shared a common ancestor.
And it looked like Heracitherium.
Right, with Heracitherium, and we predicted this. Like, get out of here. Get out. Like it's so pathetic that they've done this over and over and over across a huge range of fields, because creationists aren't doing the cutting edge work. They're not in any field. Literally no fields. They are like, they may work. There are some here and there, like Danny Faulkner does actual work. Jason Lyle has done a couple papers. Andrew Snelly's done a few papers here and there. So like, there are some who do work in actual fields. They're not on the cutting edge stuff. They're pretty largely ignored. If their work is good, then it's good, but like, they're not paid attention to really all that much. So
yeah. Pegajace Fiber Optic Firmament has just gifted 5 Dapper Dinosaur memberships, so thank you very much. I took 5 drinks while Jackson was going there. If you didn't notice the drink counter incrementing, please feel free to take your own 5 drinks. Actually, you know what I realized not that long ago? Like, I use incrementing and indices way more than most people, I think. I'm always using an index of various things in Blender. And it's actually, I think, started to change the way I think about like math and lists and just like things in everyday life. And I also now think more about things like Fourier analysis than I ever did before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's kind of weird because like just the other day, I was thinking about like how to construct a wake on a boat using Fourier analysis and like using different waveforms to construct that wake. And I was like, oh, man, I actually do think that using Blender has changed the way I think into being much more mathematical. It's kind of weird.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. RJ changed the way that I think. RJ, when I first started working with him, he forced me to like only look at technical literature for everything that I was reading for my scripts. And then when I started doing that did change the way that altered the way that I think about like primary and secondary sources. And then from then on, I was like, I'm going to avoid secondary sources as much as I can, basically. And so
yeah,
RJ had that, I think, positive impact on me.
I do have a confession. I did use the Dallas Aquarium as a source for a recent paper, but it was just to get to the time to sexual maturity for a particular species of tetra. And like, I then gave like another like 30% on top of that just to be nice. So I feel like it's fine. I feel like that's fine.
I mean, I've been to the Dallas Aquarium. They got a lot of great people who work over there, so their information's probably pretty good.
There we go. Annoying newsletters for $2 says Ghidorah, the rocks were still there, Ghidorah, and we will take a drink. Thank you very much.
I had a friend who worked over there.
Nice. I don't think I've ever been there. I've been
It's
to
very nice.
I mean, I looked at the website and it did look nice. Which, by the way, that reminds me. The plan right now is that we're going to be watching Godzilla -1 in the Discord after this. So if you don't currently have access to that Discord, feel free to join the channel or become a patron, because that'll give you access, and then you can watch one of the best Godzilla movies of all time with us. So, yeah. Have you seen Godzilla -1, Jackson?
I have not.
All right, Jackson, have you seen any Godzilla movie?
Yes.
Do you like
seen a couple of
Godzilla
them.
movies?
They're popcorn flicks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever noticed how no one gives a crap about the human story? They're just there to watch monsters do things.
Yeah, okay, so what have I seen? I've seen I saw the one that had Bryan Cranston in it like several years
So,
ago.
Godzilla 2014.
Jesus Christ. Then I saw
Just a few years ago,
the one-
12 years
the
ago.
one where he fought King Kong.
Well, there's 3 of those, so okay.
I saw the first one.
Oh. The one from like 1962 or something like that?
Oh no.
Okay, so you saw the second one.
I saw the one that was that came out what, like 2 years ago?
Well, so that would be the third one then.
Oh, okay. I thought there were more after that came out more recently.
Well, there was. It doesn't matter. Anyway, you know about the phenomenon where no one cares about the humans; they just want to see big monsters do things.
Sure.
Godzilla -1 made me care a lot about the human characters. A lot.
Okay.
Which is pretty crazy. Like it takes a pretty good Godzilla movie to make me care about the humans. Because normally I just am like, whatever, humans are doing stuff. Just get me to more kaiju action. But with that movie, I was like, oh damn. Like this actual family drama and stuff. Except it's like a chosen family, but then also maybe not. I don't know. It's a whole complicated thing. Go watch the movie if you haven't. Anyway, here we go.
Because we will not have this man to rule over us. The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. Romans 1 says, they did not like to retain God in their knowledge.
I'm just going to take a drink and point out so many scientists are Christians.
Yep.
Including evolutionary biologists. Robert T. Bucker?
Uh-huh.
Pastor.
Yep.
That man is a
He was
pastor.
Presbyterian.
Pentecostal.
Pentecostal, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Very
other
different, but they sound similar.
Yeah, that's right. He was and he was big involved in like the dinosaur renaissance.
Yes, he was. Also someone who popped up in my script. Mary Schweitzer, whom the creationists love. You know what they never point out about her? That she's a Christian who left young Earth creationism.
Yep.
And remained a Christian, though.
Yep.
They really don't like talking about that. Yeah, which, by the way, that annoys her, and I get it. And honestly, if I were her, I would be furious. I get annoyed on her behalf, and I don't even know her. Like, I have never talked to her. And every once in a while, I get pissed off for her, because it's such bullshit that they ignore that. When it's such a big part of her life, like, she's not shy about it. She will talk to you about her Christian faith all the time. Or at least that's the impression I get from having seen interviews with her where it came up. Like, she is very much a believing Christian.
Kenneth Miller is a Catholic?
Well, they're not real Christians, according to Jackson.
All right. You got me there. Sorry.
Actually, I don't actually know if Jackson would say that Catholics are Christian or not. It used to be more common than it is now to reject the Christianity of Catholics among Protestants, but now it's, from what I understand, it's pretty rare.
Well, they all want to be, quote trad cats. So nowadays,
yeah, the weird Protestant to trad cath pipeline is a whole thing.
And then they're like, "Wait, the Pope is telling me I can't do that. Well, I'm not going to listen to him." Okay.
Yeah. There's
Like,
also the really annoying like right-wing Protestant to Eastern Orthodox asshole pipeline.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, there are certain aspects of how the Eastern Orthodox Church like views itself that seem attractive to the kind of people who want to feel like they're super special for not having done anything. And it's like,
Okay.
I get that impulse, but then if you go and read like the works of the people who are like the most revered saints in like Eastern Orthodoxy post the Bible, pretty
Mhm.
much all of them are talking about like denying yourself and being humble and going and praying in a corner and, you know, working humbly on your own sins and not telling other people all the horrible shit they're doing unless that person happens to be like an emperor or king or president or something, in which case, you know, slam into him. Yeah, that kind of shit.
That's dope.
And
That's kind of dope.
none of them are interested in any of that. They just want to tell you about like the theological musings of Saint What's His Face from some mountain that you've never heard of in the middle of nowhere, Greece, and how that
Okay.
proves that actually you're a heretic and you're going to hell.
Hold on. Let me find this. I have
So
to
annoying.
hold on. There's a great here it is. There's a great post from Twitter that says every lifelong Catholic I've ever met is like, I think we're supposed to give this food to poor people.
Mhm.
And every adult convert is like the Archon of Constantinople's epistle on the Pentecostine rites of the Eucharist clearly states that women shouldn't have driver's licenses.
Yep, basically. It happens on both those sides. That kind of nonsense. Fits of Rage 23 says, or has become a Diapsid member on the channel. Thank you so much, Fits of Rage. That's awesome. That is the highest tier that we have. Awesome. All right, well, now that
Nice.
I'm done complaining about Protestants who convert to other versions of Christianity specifically to be dicks about it, I'm going to hit play. And also, I want to note that I've also met Protestants who converted to other versions of Christianity because they actually, like, you know, wholeheartedly wanted to become parts of that church and wanted to then, you know, like, live a life that is in accordance with those things like humility and repentance and, you know, charity to the poor. So I'm talking about a very specific subset of the Protestants who do this, and not all of them.
Or people who deconvert and are still jerks. You know,
Yeah.
that happens too.
Actually, a friend of mine who is a great guy who has a wonderful family and spends his time split between farming and doing cancer research converted to
Jeez.
Eastern Orthodoxy. So
That is a tough life.
yeah, but like he chose it. And also sometimes the labs he's running to do cancer research are in like Ghana. So he'll just spend half his time in some country in like the middle of Africa and then fly back to his home in Washington state. It's like, all right, dude. That's
nuts.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so God gave them over to a reprobate mind, and their
just gonna
foolish
drink.
hearts were darkened.
So dumb.
My biology colleagues, the professors in all the universities,
They're not your colleagues because you're not a biologist.
Right. And also I love this. See, actually the reason all these people who are all experts disagree with us is not because the evidence is against us. It's because God made them reprobates. Which, if you look at a lot of people who use that word a lot, usually just means gay. So
The scientists are fake and gay.
yes,
Confirmed, actually.
exactly. Yep, the scientists are fake and gay. Oh, my goodness! It does remind me when Candace Owens said the dinosaurs were fake and gay, and I was like, well, a lot of dinosaurs today are pretty gay, so at least the gay part's probably more accurate than most people think.
Yeah. God. Oh my God. She started getting into flat Earth, but then like her producer said like you need to stop or something like that.
Her producer went to Antarctica and filmed the 24-hour sun, and that's how we got her to stop.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That is
he was
truly
on.
bananas.
He went with the Final Experiment with Will Duffy and MC Toon
Okay.
and Nathan Thompson and Jaron Campanella and Dave McKeegan and whatnot and Critical Think and all the rest. Right? He was there, and yeah, he was like, "Yeah, Candace, the sun went around us in a circle. It's definitely not flat. You should stop. Please don't." That's what it took for her to stop with that. Which, Look, as much as I know that Jaron Campanella, who left the flat Earth in the wake of that and has been dealing with a lot of crap from his former colleagues and has been shedding a lot of his other nonsense conspiracy beliefs, like as much as I want to say, props to that, like, dude, you had to go to Antarctica to think that the
Right.
Earth was round. You need to reassess your like evidentiary requirements for believing different claims. Like, because
Yeah.
clearly, when it came to all those flat Earth claims, your evidentiary standard was down in the fucking core of the Earth. But when it came to
Yeah.
basic things like, hey, sunset and time zones don't really work if the Earth is flat, you put it like somewhere around like the orbit of Pluto. Like, what are you doing, dude? Figure out a way to be consistent.
And also,
sorry.
I'm sorry, just P.S. on Candace, while she's thinking that maybe the Earth is flat, maybe not, she did also believe that that she and Charlie Kirk could like astral project to each other.
Yeah, that's true. She thought they had a
Um,
psychic telepathic
yeah.
connection or something.
Yeah, so that's cool. She's totally someone you should take seriously and
Oh.
listen to her words. Yeah.
Yeah, because the person I want to have a psychic connection with is the person who thinks that I've been born wrong, both in terms of my skin color and my sex. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
Yep.
Fitz of Rage points out it was Austin Whitsitt, not Nathan Thompson. I'm going to be honest with you. I frequently mix those two up because in my brain, they're basically the same guy. They're both like kind of skinny, full of themselves flat earthers who both always look like they need a shower. So, yeah. And from what I
Savage.
can tell, they're both also abusive pieces of crap to their partners. So,
Jeez.
Yeah.
Learning what I call God Appreciation 101, how the universe works, how life functions, everything we've been able to figure out, everything about, as Isaac Newton said, thinking God's thoughts after him is all that science is.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
fine. I'm okay with that.
cool.
But guess what science also
Okay.
says? That evolution is a thing, that the universe is 14.8 or whatever billion years old, that the Earth is about 4.5 billion years old. And please don't come and correct me about the decimal point unless I'm off by more than 0.4. Because every once in a
Yeah,
while
I
someone's
mean,
like, well, it's actually like 5.48. I'm like, oh, great. That's cool. I don't care.
yeah, it's just no one cares. No one cares if you want to believe in God and say like all this has happened because that's how God set up. That's fine. No one cares. Literally, no one cares.
Well, I mean, some anti-theists care. I don't care.
Okay, no one in the pretty much nobody like if you write if you're like Francis Collins, right? Like
Yeah.
he wrote a whole book about it. I think Kenneth Miller's like written books about it. It's like okay, fine, that's fine. I don't care.
Yeah, that's fine by me. Yep.
Worshipping the Creator, like you can admire Bob Ross, now he's gone, by looking at one of his paintings. But the Creator's
I actually also kind of am fine with that, right? Like,
Yeah, sure.
if looking at nature makes you feel an appreciation for God, I'm okay with that. Just don't use that as an excuse to deny science.
Right.
still here. How dare they? How dare they deny the genius, the beauty, the creation of the universe was an unthinkably brilliant and magnificent act of love.
Sure, okay. You know what most of scientists aren't doing is telling you that that's something you're not supposed to believe.
Yeah.
There's a difference between atheist activism and science. And sure, some atheist activists who are anti-theists are telling you to stop believing that. But that's not the same thing as science telling you that, or even scientists. Even though sometimes the guy who goes off and does science later puts on an anti-theist hat, they're still not doing the same thing in those two cases. So, like, yeah. Like, there's a reason, and I'm going to reference an Epstein Files alumnus here, so please forgive me. But there's a reason why in the God delusion there's a whole bunch of philosophical nonsense that is actually pretty bad. But then in, say, The Greatest Show on Earth, there's none of that. Instead, there's just a whole bunch of science about things like embryology and evolutionary biology and how they intersect. There's a reason those are different books. It's because in one of them, Jeffrey Epstein alumnus Richard Dawkins noted bigot on multiple fronts,
Yep.
is acting as a really bad philosopher of religion, and in the other, he's acting as a pretty decent evolutionary biologist and embryologist, and those aren't the same thing.
Somebody doesn't want me to talk.
Maybe it's that God you keep slandering. I don't know.
And power and genius.
Actually, I did once go to a church service, and there were problems with the audio equipment there, and it was blamed on Satan. And I remember thinking, I don't know, I feel like sometimes audio problems just happen without the need for a supernatural agent of evil.
Dapper. No.
Yeah? No.
That is shrimply incorrect.
Okay.
If something is happening, it's because Satan wants it to happen to you.
Right. Satan happened to be there in that particular church at that moment.
You're the main character. You're always
Right,
the
I
main
forgot.
character. And so Satan and Jesus are constantly battling over you at all times. In ways as simple as, the microphone not working.
Even in the Screw Tapes letter, it wasn't actually Satan who was out there messing with every individual person. He delegated.
He's a good project manager. What can we say?
I mean, according to the Screw Tapes letters, yeah, he is. Including having middle managers.
I saw a meme the other day that made me laugh. It said, the horniest person you've ever met. So what exactly does a project manager do? And that got me real good.
Yeah. I'm not going to tell my friend who does that for a job. That's the thing. Although I have told this friend several times, like, I still don't really have any clear idea as to what you do or why anyone pays you to do it. Apparently, that was a rude thing to say. So, sorry.
Intelligence beyond compare. Even Richard Dawkins, the atheist.
Hey, we just mentioned him. Well-known
Epstein alumnus.
Yes. Take a drink. I'm just going to take a drink because I have to, because my goodness.
Wait, could that be a new drink rule? Mention an Epstein alumnus?
It actually might be, now that you say that. That might become a new rule, is if there's a mention of an Epstein Files alumnus. Or alumna. There are a few of them. There's like 5, I think. So, yeah.
Said, and I wish more pastors would say this, if there was a God, he would have to be so far above us that merely conceptualizing him would be madness.
I mean, that is actually a not too uncommon position among a lot of theists, is that you can't really understand God because he's far too transcendent and infinite for a finite being to comprehend. But like, okay. Like, that's actually not an unusual thing to hear from Christian clergy in my experience. But then again, I recognize maybe I have a weird experience. Like, I was actually just talking to Katie Lewis the other day and mentioning how, like, I've been to a lot of Anglican services, a lot of Catholic masses, a lot of Orthodox divine liturgies, a lot of like evangelical services. Like I've been to a wide variety of Christian things. And so my experience is probably not typical for most people who have experience firsthand with Christianity.
Yeah,
I think the atheist is right. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. His ways are higher than our ways. He's the unimaginable, unfathomable. Who has known the mind of the Lord, or who has been his counselor? Who has ever given to God that he should repay him? He's endless. And I love him that way. I wouldn't have it any other way.
And I'm not telling you not to, man. That's great. That's cool. But just none of that is a good reason to reject science. If anything, I've actually heard a lot of Christians argue that it's a good reason to accept and even do science. Like you could use that as a motive.
Yeah.
Richard Dawkins would make an awesome Saul of Tarsus to Paul the Apostle conversion. Pray Richard Dawkins gets saved.
At this point, I actually, this might be mean, I genuinely wouldn't be all that shocked if, like, late in his life, he has, like, a turnaround or something.
Yeah, and he becomes, like, some kind of fundamentalist
people
Christian.
Who are extremely bigoted, or who, like, get off on being like a contrarian, hyper skeptic, whatever. They love having a come to Jesus late in life, like a bunch of them do it. Elon Musk is doing it right now.
Is he?
He's doing the whole. I
Uh,
don't know. I don't believe he said. I don't believe he said he's a Christian, and so I'm not putting that out there. I'm simply saying he's been saying a lot recently in like interviews and stuff that he's like, I think a lot about God, and stuff like that. He's like thinks a lot about religion nowadays, which is funny because he called himself an atheist openly a number of years ago, and it's like, shock.
Hey, Christians, you should probably think about why it is that some of the worst people in existence are attracted to your club. And I know that it's not a problem with all of your like subdivision.
Tucker Carlson,
clubs.
Russell Brand,
right? But like, you should think about why it is that so many just awful people seem to be really interested in your particular brand of Christianity if they're converting to your brand. Like, I'll be honest, the fact that J.D. Vance was convinced by Peter Thiel to become a Catholic should on its own make any Catholic think, what is it about this church that's attracting this?
Because that man is Satan. So
yeah, it's annoying newsletters for $2 says Ghidorah, Bad Jackson, size queen. Yes, he needs a really big god. Oh.
Yeah, it's not surprising to me when people who are terrible suddenly have a come to Jesus, and then they can turn around and be like, I have a new justification for my bigotry that I already had, and it's God.
Yeah. Yep. Oh man, it turns out God already thinks the same stupid stuff that I always thought. What
How
a coincidence.
Convenient. Man,
wow.
that's so lucky.
He is not a hypocrite. He will stick to his atheist worldview, and he will stick to what it means. He said, I know it won't be very popular to say this, but...
I really hate his impression right now. Bad Jackson is constantly giving off, how do you do, fellow kids, energy about everything. It's really annoying.
Yeah.
Hitler really got it right, you know. In natural selection, any group that can't defend itself deserves to be...
He actually specifically says the opposite in the God Delusion. Like, this is an example.
Let's just take a drink for
explicitly brings up.
Well, the closest that Richard Dawkins, again, Jeffrey Epstein Files alumnus, said to this was when he was asked about whether or not eugenics would work to artificially select humans.
Yeah.
He said, well, yeah, humans aren't like special in a way that other organisms aren't. So if you could do it, which you shouldn't, of course it would work. Which, yeah, I don't disagree about. Like, what would stop it from working? Nothing.
We have heritable traits that vary within our populations. Yeah.
Yeah. If you wanted to select for like a particular height or like a particular skull shape or a particular limb proportion in humans, and you actually had the ability to choose which humans do and do not breed, then yeah, of course it would work. That's like, okay. It's like I once, it was way back in like 2015 or something. And I said to someone, well, of course a border wall would reduce the number of people crossing the border from Mexico to the United States because it would make it harder. So some people are just not going to do it. And then this person's like, I can't believe that you're supporting the border wall and Trump. I'm like, what?
That's not what that means.
I don't think acknowledging that a physical barrier making going from one place to the other harder would reduce the number of people doing so is supporting that thing. That's not how that works.
It's just an observation.
Yeah,
that's all you're doing.
It's just true. It would happen.
Yeah.
It would reduce the number of people crossing their border. Personally, I don't think that that's a good goal. I'm okay with as many people as need to or want to crossing that border. I'm okay with much more lax border controls and a much easier path to permanent residency or even citizenship here. Like let's do that.
Yeah, like this lie. I mean, this, like, I've never even heard anyone say this about Dawkins before. It's ridiculous. He's never said anything to this effect before. It does remind me though of the lie they love to tell, where they say that like Dawkins believes in aliens.
Oh
like,
yeah,
Richard Dawkins said, that life came from aliens, and it's like, no, he didn't. He explicitly said, well, I don't think that happened, but if intelligent design were involved, this might hypothetically be how it happened, especially given that he's written multiple books where he talks about the origin of life
Yeah,
being completely natural.
He was indulging in Ben Stein's hypothetical, and then Ben Stein, well, more likely Ben Stein's editors under his direction, dishonestly edited that, and now there's a whole bunch of people who think that Richard Dawkins, Epstein Files alumnus, is in favor of panspermia as like an actual true proposition. For $5, Joshua Geese says, towards proverbial alcohol to thin out the smugness of bad Jackson. I don't know what makes the alcohol proverbial, but thank you. I do appreciate it. And we are pretty far from that goal. I think people just don't want to hear English as she is spoke today.
And
oh, you know what? We are at about the time when it is time for me to refresh my drink, which is good because I have gone through about half of it. So I will go freshen that up. In the meantime, please enjoy the musical stylings of one Beethoven. And we will be back, hopefully, in not too long. I don't think that we'll be back. I don't think it'll take a while. So, yeah, see you in just a few minutes, everybody. And we are back. Let's see. The real Tim Meredith, who's been a member at the Tetrapod level for a month, says AIG is a bag of dicks, but is using the Cyrillic alphabet for the dicks part. I appreciate that. So we will take a break. Now that we are back, I do want to say First, I want to say thank you to everyone who has super chatted, or to anyone who has gifted memberships in the past, or today. Actually, I forgot that we did in fact have some super chats today. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot. I know I've said this, but it bears repeating. This is what I'm doing as my like full-time gig. This is what's paying my bills, right? This is what's paying for rent, paying for my phone, paying for what little I bother to spend on entertainment, stuff like that, right? It's my groceries. So the fact that I'm able to do that is almost entirely down to the generosity of my viewers, whether it be through Patreon, channel memberships, super chats, stuff like that. And but I also want to say, February is often tough, and it's been a little tougher than I was expecting this week or this month, and it causes some anxiety, and that sucks. But I also know that I am not really currently in danger of this falling through, and so I want to say thank you, because that is because of all of you. And so if you are currently someone who is enjoying the show, enjoying the channel, enjoying what I do here, and you can afford to, and you want to, help support the channel financially so that I can keep doing it for as long as I possibly can, the first thing I would ask is that you maybe check out the Patreon. It's linked in the description. That starts at only $1 a month. You can get a 15% discount if you decide to go for an annual pledge rather than a monthly pledge. It gives you early access to videos that are scripted. I'm currently rendering one right now, and I will tell you a story about that video because it has been a nightmare. But yeah, there's also the Discord server, which is where we're going to be watching Godzilla -1 later. It is a lot of fun. I'm a big fan of it. There's a lot of cool people in there. There are a lot of cool cat pictures. Lots of cat pictures, so that's cool. But yeah, overall, I think it's a great place, and I think you might too. There's also the channel memberships. You can just join with the join button below this video. That will give you access to the same Discord server, early access, just like with the other things. And yeah, and if like those aren't your thing, there's other options. There's always sending the occasional super chat. I have a wish list linked in the description. There's a lot of ways to help support the channel. So if you can afford to, and like I said, you want to, please consider doing those things. And if you don't want to, all right, that's cool too. What I would ask then is that you just hit like on this video and maybe share it with, friends, families, enemies, whatever. So, yeah. With that, for $9.99, Astro Geek says, keep doing what you are doing. Well, that is the plan for as long as I possibly can. And super chats, in fact, make that easier for me to do. So, thank you. All right, Jackson, are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay.
I am ready.
Oh, and Sheepit. Borg Emporium wants me to mention Sheepit. Yes. Sheepit is how I get my animations rendered. If you want to help me with that, there is a link, or there's a section on my description that says how to render for me. Follow those directions, and you will be able to either get me points for Sheepit, or even just render frames for me when I have them up. So, yeah, check that out if you want to.
Well, boy, a lot of people didn't like that, but if you really, really are a Darwinist, don't forget his book, The Origin of the Species. That's only the short version. The title
that says nothing about eugenics.
That's true. It does not. You could argue that some of the things in The Descent of Man might kind of peripherally have something to do with eugenics if you squint really hard, but nothing in Origin of Species at all. And I also think that you would have to squint really freaking hard to see any kind of eugenics in Descent of Man anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like, he had some like what we consider racist ideas today because he had misunderstandings about a lot of things like what women were intellectually capable of and what other races of people were intellectually capable of, because those were ideas that were common in his day. But he never straight up advocates for, like, for eugenics. Mm-hmm. He did have relatives who were big in the eugenics movement because that was also very popular among scientists.
And we don't get to choose our family.
The 1940s, something happened.
Oh, yeah.
Can't remember.
There was a thing.
Yeah, something.
It was something that people seem to be forgetting about.
And then it became very unpopular to support eugenics for 80 years. And we're back again. Look at that.
Hooray! I hate this planet. Let's go find a better one. All right, everybody, buy a whole bunch of gigantic telescopes. Let's start looking for a better planet to live on. And by gigantic, I mean like, the size of Earth's orbit. Go get yourself a 1 AU radius telescope and see what you can see out there. Josh Wiggies for $5 says, from Borg Emporia, sheep it! I did mention sheep it. Yeah, it is actually really important. And one of the reasons that this video that I'm currently trying to render out is such a gigantic pain is that it required 110 plus thousand frames to be rendered.
Good lord.
Yeah. My channel routinely puts out more like frames of CGI than like entire Hollywood franchises have in the entire thing. Like I'm pretty sure that most of my projects involve more CGI character work than the entire Jurassic Park / World franchise combined. It's absurd. Yeah, it's absurd.
Yeah.
Not much more than a Marvel movie though, because Marvel will be like, "Oh, we need Samuel L. Jackson just sitting in an apartment. Let's make the apartment CGI and also the gun he's holding CGI, and maybe we'll CGI the cigar too." It's like, guys, why don't you just
get some props, man?
It's an apartment and a gun. Just hand him a fake gun and put him in an apartment. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to hit play before I think too much about how it is that so much of Hollywood has just forgotten how to make a movie without having everything done with computer. It's all computer in there. I love Tesla. Anyone remember that from what feels like 80 years ago?
Species by means of natural selection of favored races in the struggle for life. And
wow. Hey, Jackson, have you read this book that he's mentioning?
I have in fact read it multiple times.
How many of the races in it are human races?
He actually does not discuss human races. He in fact says, I'm not going to touch this because I'll put it in a future work.
And the races that he does talk about, would they include things like birds and horses and cabbages?
Yes, they would in fact.
Okay. And okay, I'm just a dinosaur, so I'm not, completely familiar with human society and whatnot. Can you be racist against cabbages?
I suppose it could be theoretically possible, but not in the way that Darwin writes about them.
Okay, so Darwin was not a cabbage racist.
Not to my knowledge. He may have, if he's out there, he might have been a pigeon racist. He's like, Jacobin pigeons are my favorite. I'm not touching those powders, or the tumblers.
Yeah, get out of here.
Jacobins for me.
Okay, so maybe pigeon racist, but not a cabbage racist. Got it. Okay.
No, yeah, the word race is actually Tony Reed of How Creationism Taught Me Real Science fame did a video where he talked about that specific word. The word race is like the etymology of it, how it was used in Darwin's day, and how it doesn't mean the same thing that we use it today to mean. Races did not specifically mean like skin color. It could mean like different varieties within a species, so.
Where is Waldo for 5 beaver bucks says Darwin was a racist as his Western Christian culture influenced him to be, and an abolitionist. Sure. Yeah, that's accurate.
Sure.
Darwin was definitely a racist by our standards today, and he was a abolitionist at a time when that was not just the thing to be.
He even participated in a slave rebellion in Uruguay.
Well, there we go.
Darwin believed that, of course, his race, not the Aryan race, what am I thinking? English, whatever, the British.
We're taking a drink for mentioning the Nazis, because the only reason he's reaching for Aryan is because of the Nazis, and also I'm thirsty, so I get to make the rules. Because remember, The drink counter doesn't actually mean anything. It's just a bit of fun.
Would outcompete all the other races and they'd all go extinct.
Also, I want to point out that when he said that, which I believe was in The Descent of Man and not in The Origin of Species, he didn't say it was like it was a good thing. He actually seemed to not think it was a good thing, but he thought it would happen anyway. It's kind of like when, say, someone says, "Oh, hey, climate change is actually going to be bad. It might cause lots of big blizzards and heat waves and whatnot." And then I don't know, the Northeast has a year where there's a bunch of blizzards, but also there was a lot of heat waves. That maybe they weren't advocating for the blizzards and the heat waves, but they were just telling you that that's what they thought was going to happen. And in their case, it turns out they were right. In Darwin's case, it turns out he was wrong. But like, okay.
Yeah, Darwin thought that I mean the British in general at that time, your Western type people, not just the British, but Western scientists tended to think that history progressed kind of unidirectionally, like you were hunter gatherers, and then you were like pastoralists, and then you have your big sedentary societies that built up, and ultimately the West is like the pinnacle of society. That was kind of what they believed at the time, which is not true. Society does not progress towards Western civilization. That is an outcome of society. But people who do, I mean, there are groups of people who do hunter gathering that are perfectly happy to continue hunting and gathering, that are not gonna transition towards like pastoralism or any other type of society. So
Of course, I think what we're all forgetting is that the actual pinnacle of human evolution and society are the Kazakhs. And if you don't believe me, just watch what they say on TV in Kazakhstan. So
what did they say?
So I don't know if you know, but Kazakhstan is like a really weird, like hyper nationalist dictatorship. And basically
Okay.
their TV has like one or two, it might actually be as many as 3 channels, but basically all of it is just how wonderful the Kazakhstan is, and how the Kazakhs are like the greatest people on earth. And then a bunch of celebrations of like Kazakh folk music, which I'm not going to say that that's a bad thing. I've listened to some Kazakh folk music. Sounds fun to
Okay.
me. But also, do I think it warrants that level of official chauvinism? No, probably not. Also, cars can only be white in Kazakhstan.
Fascinating. Any particular reason?
That's how like the dictator likes it. That's it. He thinks white cars look nice and clean and other cars don't.
Huh.
And so cars have to be white.
He's even car racist. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Why
So
not?
yeah, Kazakhstan is a weird place. It's like the North Korea of Central Asia that no one remembers even exists. It's a bizarre place.
One way or another. And Hitler believed that about the
Ah, he did it again. We can take a drink. Oh man.
Aryan race. Everyone thinks their race is the master race, but you know what the Bible says?
It's weird because I don't think that, because I know enough to know that races are fake.
Yeah. And gay.
I mean, there are people who are part of various races that are gay, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely met people who were gay who were white and black and Asian and various other groups, I guess. But then again, those aren't actually races, because races are fake. Those
Races are made up.
Yeah, those turns out are socially constructed categories. As someone pointed out in the chat, when Darwin was around, the Irish didn't count as white, because white isn't a
true.
real thing. It's a social category that people are put into.
In the US, depending on where you went, there were different laws around whether you were white or not.
Mhm.
In Louisiana, that's the reason Plessy versus Ferguson had to be tried in Louisiana, because the 1-drop rule applies here. If you have one of your, what is it? Is it 1/8? I think if at least 1/8 of your ancestry is of African descent, you count as black. Whereas if you go to Ohio, for instance, there was a predominance of blood rule. So as long as you were more than 50% white, you counted as white. And so even in the US, at the same time, depending on where you went, you had different categorizations.
Yep, you could get on a train as black and get off the train as white.
Yep, exactly right. Yep,
because it turns out it was never about biology. Also, things like that are where we get really fun words like octoroon.
Yeah.
Thanks, Alabama and Louisiana and places like that.
Mhm.
I'm gonna hit play before I start thinking too much about things like redlining.
Yeah, probably
And
for
if
the
you don't know
best.
what redlining is, maybe afterwards you should go Google it. But be prepared to want to punch things.
Yeah,
'Cause
one of the books I'm reading right now is titled Fighting Poverty in the US and Europe, and it's about the welfare state in the US versus Europe and why the US welfare state is so much smaller. And it's largely because of it's two things really. One, it's really like three things basically. It's the US has a majoritarian system instead of a proportional representation system. We have a very strong military that will just put down strikes if they get too big. And then the big one, racism. There's literally a
Mhm.
mathematical equation that relates the degree of racial fractionalization in both states and in countries regarding how the more diversity you have within a state or country, the smaller the welfare state gets. And in the US, that's largely because we have a black population that we brought in as slaves. And then in states where there are higher populations of black people, uh, white people voted down having larger welfare states. So even though welfare would benefit the white people who also live in that state, they voted against it
It's always
because
fun
racism.
when people vote against their own interest because it's even more against the interests of some group that they've decided
Yeah,
arbitrarily to hate. That's
I will
that's the
cut off
most
my
fun.
foot to spite you. Yeah.
Yeah. I might lose a foot, but you're gonna lose everything from the knee down, so worth it.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Reminds me of the people who like refused ambulance rides because one of the people in the ambulance was trans, and it's like, I'm gonna die to own the libs. Okay, buddy. I guess.
Have at
Sure.
it. Yep. Yep.
At least in that case, it doesn't actually hurt the trans person; it only hurts them.
True. That's true. Yeah.
Joshua Geese for $5 says the only redlining I'm for is when driving a car aggressively in a safe time and place, of course. Even that can be a little risky. Careful with that. Don't want to redline that engine too much. All right. Well, I'm going to hit play because, again, I'm going to get too angry.
Says there's one race, the human race. All men are of one blood. And
Yeah,
there's no
sure. I generally
room
agree.
in the Bible
Not for the same
And
reasons.
for
but
the
yeah.
idea of
that
race.
was also
Families,
a
nations.
topic that like had to be argued about very extensively for a very long time. It was not something that like Christianity came along and suddenly everyone was singing Kumbaya. So actually one of the books I'm reading is America America by Greg Grandin, and he talks about the debates between the clergy over the position of the Native Americans with regard to the Europeans who were showing up, conquistadors. And you had people like Bartolome de las Casas, who were like, no, the Native Americans are humans. They're deserving of all the rights of any European. But then you had others, like Sepulveda and these other guys whose names I'm forgetting, who were like, no, they're not fully human. Maybe they're natural slaves, although the clergy tended to reject that position. But they're something between like human and animal, more likely. And so, like, this is a modern idea. Darwin argued for this idea. He argued against what was called polygenism, which was the idea that there were separate groups of humans, either because God created them separately, or because like there were separate origins for humans, like evolutionarily, because you had people supporting both types of both of those ideas. And so like this idea of one human race was propounded by Darwin. He made that a mainstream position in science. Creationists did not. Some creationists believed it, some didn't. It wasn't like everyone was on board with this idea.
Yeah. In fact, I'd like to point out that racism was basically invented by Christians. Not all of the Christians. There are Christian groups that do not have a history of participating in this, but yeah, it was made up by Christians to excuse why it was okay for them to take slaves in Africa. Or really buy slaves in Africa. It's mostly a myth that there were a bunch of slave raids by Europeans in Africa. That largely didn't happen during the transatlantic slave trade. Where is Waldo for 5? Beaverbuck says, along with preachers paid to promote capitalism, racism it was the main reason people turned against the New Deal. That was certainly a lot of it. Also, why
The New
marijuana
Deal,
became
the
illegal.
civil rights. Oh yeah, the thing. There's a book I have on my shelf by Aviva Chomsky, who is the daughter of an Epstein alumnus. But in her book, she talks about something that I had never really thought about and makes me feel multiple degrees of rage about. And that's the idea that private prisons, one, exist, and two, the people who run private prisons will have closed door meetings with politicians about what kind of legislation, like punitive legislation, to push so that more people can be funneled into the privately owned prisons for free labor because our Constitution allows slavery in the case of prisons.
You know, I thought of an idea of how to keep the ideological capitalists happy with private prisons without abolishing them, which was simply let prisoners decide which facility they're going to be housed in,
Okay.
which would force the prisons to compete for standard of living.
Right. Yeah, that's the market then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean,
True.
I would rather just abolish them, but like
I
it would be an improvement if prisoners got to pick which prison they were going to be housed in.
Yes, people groups, and their wonderful gene pool differences, but the idea of race is always condemned by the Bible. Jesus.
It's actually not addressed in the Bible at all. The Bible has nothing to say about race because race wasn't a category that was actually thought of until long after the last book of the Bible was written. The idea of race is a modern invention. The Bible doesn't talk about races for the same reason it doesn't talk about trains. They didn't exist at the time. It's just not a thing. I'm taking a drink for the Bible condemns racism all the time. Doesn't only says there's one. No, the Bible has nothing to say about races. Anything that you think is about races that's in the Bible, that's coming from you, not the text of the Bible.
Talk to a half-blood Jew, a Samaritan. You weren't supposed to talk to Samaritans. So he made one of them the hero of one of his parables. I mean,
okay, so it's actually not the case that historically the relationship between the sort of Second Temple Jews and the Samaritans was one of complete like shunning. In fact, there are things like debates going all the way back to some of the earliest Second Temple non-scriptural writings that we have between rabbis about things like, can you eat with Samaritans? And the general consensus was yes. Can you pray with Samaritans? And again, the general consensus was yes, with some caveats. So it's not the case that it was just this complete enmity and hatred between those two groups. So like it's more complicated than that, and also less stark than you're thinking. Now, there was a whole lot of tension there, don't get me wrong. But like yeah, there are even some texts suggesting that you can allow a Samaritan to say the blessing over a meal as a Jew if you're eating with them, but to wait before they finish to say amen, just in case they mention like Mount Gerizim or anything, because then you're not supposed to. So like even with this, there's more to it than what bad Jackson would like you to believe. Which, of course it is. Why would bad Jackson be any better at the Bible than he is at anything else, right? Like,
right. Yeah.
I hate the degree to which so many young Earth creationists are just bad at the Bible, in addition to being bad at science. Like, I don't know. You could learn about these things. Maybe.
I just want to point out. So one time, Dapper and I were debating a guy, and I don't remember the guy's name, but Dapper, the guy got off on some tangent about saying like the Old Testament predicted Jesus because somebody said something or other that was kind of vaguely sounded like it could correlate with Jesus, and Dapper was like, okay, but the Greek means this, and that doesn't really mean that. Like, how are you drawing this from the scripture? And I was just sitting there marveling as Dapper's like, but the Greek says this. You know, and the guy's like, okay, but in my translation, it says this, which kind of sounds like this. It was great to listen to.
Yeah, it is always amazing to me how many people will think that they have something when all they actually have is like an iffy translation into another language. It's like, oh, good for you. You found a connection that isn't in the original text, but that is kind of vaguely there in a crap translation. Woo!
Moses' brother and sister, Aaron and Miriam, got so mad at him for marrying an Ethiopian. Even today,
I thought Moses' wife was like a Midianite. Did Moses have a second wife that was an Ethiopian that I don't remember? Because, like, maybe, I don't know. I don't remember every single thing in Exodus.
Wife. Zipporah, daughter of Jethro, the priest and prince of Midian.
Which is not Ethiopia, right? Double check for me where Midian is.
Okay, that's Midian is in...
Because I thought that was like Midian, the Sinai or something.
Was a son of Abraham, wife, and his wife Keturah, refers to a geographical region in West Asia in the Tabuk province in modern-day Saudi Arabia. So yeah,
okay,
not Ethiopia.
Yeah, not Ethiopia. All right. I'm just gonna take a drink for getting Bible things wrong too. Okay, I'm glad that I wasn't misremembering the ethnicity of Moses' wife. Yay! I remain better at the Bible than Charles Jackson.
Ethiopians are known as the darkest dark-skinned people on the planet.
I mean, they're actually not. That's not that group. But like,
wait. Oh, hold on a second. Oh, it's a painting. There's a painting called Moses and His Ethiopian Wife Zipporah from the 1640s.
So not the Bible.
Was... Okay, hold on. What is the back? The painting is a half-length depiction of the biblical prophet Moses and his African wife. So, description. So, what is one interpretation of Numbers 12:1 is that Moses' wife Zipporah, daughter of Jethro from Midian, was black. Then why? Okay, so no, they all agree that she was a Midian, but then so he drew her looking like, or painted her looking like an Ethiopian. So I guess he's aware of this painting, it would be my guess, which is why
Ethiopians aren't even close to the darkest people group. Like, that's not true. The Khoisan are the darkest people group in terms of skin color. And also, like, Ethiopians are actually not that dark-skinned. Like, not all of them, at least. There's some pretty light-skinned Ethiopians. So I don't know why Charles Jackson is saying that the Ethiopians are the darkest-skinned people. It's not right at all. You know what it probably is? For all his talk about how much of a not racist he is, I think it actually just might be him conflating all of sub-Saharan Africa. Honestly. Because a lot of people think that everyone like south of Egypt just looks the same, even though it's very much not true.
So it gets okay. So this is super odd. As I'm reading this is really weird. Moses' wife is referred to as a Cushite woman in Numbers 12. Interpretations differ on whether this Cushite woman was one the same as Zipporah or another woman, and whether he was married to them simultaneously or successively.
Okay, so there was a Cushite woman.
Yeah, in the story, Aaron and Miriam criticized Moses' decision to marriage to a Cushite woman.
Okay.
This criticism displeases God, who punishes Miriam with, I'm sure I'm going to mispronounce that, often glossed as leprosy.
It's some not well-defined skin condition that usually seems to involve like the lightening of the skin and maybe sores or something.
So it could be the case. That's super weird. So he was married to a Cushite woman.
I'll take a drink for Charles Jackson getting it kind of right.
Odd, very odd.
It's almost like Exodus. Well, the Bible as a whole isn't always internally consistent.
And Moses married one, and Miriam and Aaron got mad. And I heard one preacher say, well, they liked white so much, God gave them a little bit more of it.
Because of the leprosy. Got it.
And he smote them white, leprous as snow. And
that doesn't count as landing. I'm taking a drink for it.
they had to, not till Moses prayed for God to forgive them would the leprosy go away. There's just so much that's true, that's moral, that's ethical, that's logical, that's consistent. Streams of independent thinking truths that never crisscross each other in parallel lines forever. That's pure thought. That's the thinking of God. That's how it works.
Oh no, it's genetic entropy, the mystery of the genome.
Boo! It was
Also,
hated.
I love how they never use the first edition cover, which is like
The alien spaceship?
yeah, the flying saucer in the library for some reason. Like, what? I still want to know what that's
it's
about.
so bizarre. Deeply bizarre.
It's it's not even necessarily a criticism. It's just like, what were you thinking, John? Because like you had to have approved this.
I think I do need to end in a moment.
I mean, we have 8 more minutes of this, so like maybe you don't, but whatever.
John Sanford is one of my heroes. He's a biologist. When I read his...
He was a biologist. He stopped doing that a long time ago. I'm taking a drink. I don't care. I'm thirsty. Annoying newsletter says vitiligo equal genetic entropy. Oh. Joshua Geese for $5 says, don't cross the streams. Well, what if we do, though? Isn't that how we actually end up saving the day in the end, is crossing the streams?
It was, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Also, this now gives me an excuse to put John Sanford's face in a replacement thumbnail and piss off Sal Cordova. Which is basically the only thing I do involving Sal nowadays, is just every once in a while, just see if I can like troll him just a tiny little bit in like provoking him into a response that isn't actually responsive. Because that's his favorite thing as far as I can tell when it comes to me.
Book, Genetic Entropy and the Mystery of the Genome. I was reading it, going from speaking gig to speaking gig in the car. My wife was driving, and it got tears because it brought together so many of the biological things. Dr. Sanford was an atheist. John Sanford...
Okay.
Done.
How much? So I actually know the story of John Sanford's conversion as he tells it, which is to say his marriage was on the rocks and his wife started going to church. So he started going with her, and then their marriage started getting better. So then he converted to Christianity.
Okay.
I'm wondering if Charles Jackson here is going to tell us that actually it was all the wonderful evidence for creationism that convinced John Sanford to convert to Christianity. Joshua Geese says, for $5, Joshua Geese says, in that case, cross the streams. Oh, okay, good. I thought for a second I was reading the same comment over again, and then I realized, nope, it was basically the opposite. So, yeah. All right, here we go.
With a Bachelor of Science in Horticulture from University of Minnesota, 76. Master of Science in University of Wisconsin, 78. And a PhD.
Arrow Dodger for $4.99 says, does God take commissions? I really enjoyed Song of Songs. Yeah, that was a pretty good one. I'm also a fan of Ecclesiastes. That was pretty good. I like Habakkuk.
There is nothing new under the sun.
It's true. Also, everything is meaningless.
Yep.
Habakkuk is good. People forget about Habakkuk, I find. But there's good stuff all over the place in there. There's a lot of really cool stuff that's in the Bible. I really like a lot of the later prophets who were talking about the importance of things like, helping the poor and the widow and the foreigner, and how it didn't matter that much if you were going to do things like, make all the prescribed sacrifices if you're going to ignore justice. And I don't know. I feel like that's something that maybe modern Christians should go over again a few times.
Yeah.
Like, maybe be forced to memorize all of it on pain of death.
PhD in 1980 in plant breeding and genetics from University of Wisconsin. A prolific inventor with over 25 patents in biology. 1986 to 1999, professor at Cornell and adjunct professor of botany at Duke.
I am so tired of having people vomit out his CV at me. Like, I get it. John Sanford is the biggest mega genius ever. That just makes him a liar. That's all it does, is it makes him a liar.
Yep.
Olivia Williams, Purple Fairy, For 279 beaver bucks says Ezekiel 2320 is fun. I do not know that one off the top of my head. Jackson, could you look that one up for me real quick?
Ezekiel, you said 2320?
2320, yes.
Survey says, oh, it's this one. There she lusted after her lovers, whose
yes.
genitals were like those of donkeys, and whose emission was like that of horses.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? It's okay. It's fine. That's fine. Look, the Bible was written by humans, and people have, sexual metaphors. That's a thing.
It's true.
An atheist, when he got out of graduate school, Dr. Sanford said when he started doing research in biology, he found out none of the stuff that he had learned about evolution could be applied to real biology.
No. What he found out was that going to church made him not get divorced. So then he converted to a particular version of Christianity, the version that was, the part that his church belonged to. And then he discovered that theologically, science was uncomfortable. So he decided to reject science and come up with excuses as to why it was that maybe science didn't actually mean what it actually said. And actually, some other thing was true that just happened to be compatible with his newfound religion. And then he made a whole bunch of mathematical assertions, which have been proven, like actual mathematically proven, to be incorrect. And then he got some help to write up a program that intentionally misrepresents how population genetics works so that he could pretend it was evidence of his ideas in the first place. I want to make this very clear. Mendel's accountant, which is the forward time population genetics simulator that he's so proud of, cannot reproduce real world observed population genetics phenomena that have been observed, like, for realsies, in real time, with real populations.
That's what we call an oof in science.
Mm-hmm. Also, here's a fun thing. Did you know that if you set up Mendel's accountant so that it will track which mutations happen, that back mutations to a previous more fit genotype are counted as deleterious and lower the fitness of that member of the population anyway?
Oh, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, I changed this A to a T. Oh, well, that's bad. So now you have a lower fitness. Wait, I changed it back to an A. Even worse. Okay.
That's bananas.
Mm-hmm. It's just a lying machine. It's more of a lying machine than any of the large language models are. Because it's wrong more or less 100% of the time, rather than 40% of the time.
Dang.
Yeah. He designed a program to be wrong about biology.
So he realized evolution couldn't be true. He invented the gene gun technique.
Something he did before this, if memory serves.
He also was part of a team that did this, as a team.
Although, I mean...
They always say he invented the gene gun. Like, well, he worked with other people. They all did this together.
Although I'm sure he made major contributions to it. I don't doubt that.
Oh, of course. Absolutely.
Genetic engineering of plants. A Distinguished Inventor Award twice from the New York Patent Law Association.
Neat.
Founded two companies that are biotechnology.
All right, creationists. It is possible to talk about John Sanford without putting his whole crotch directly in your mouth. That's a thing you could do. just putting it out there, maybe for future reference.
Later became a born-again Christian and founded the Feed My Sheep Foundation.
Oh man, you mean he did all of his major scientific work before he became a creationist? Wow. I'm going to call this a confirmed prediction or something. I'm taking a drink. I don't even care. Jeez.
Yep.
I got to meet John Sanford at a Creation Ministries International Super Conference in North Carolina, and he was already my hero, and he and I...
You need better heroes, dude. You need better heroes. There are people out there who are actually helping people.
Yeah.
I both got there early, and we sat in rocking chairs in Black Mountain, North Carolina, and talked for 2.5 hours.
I'll be honest, right now, a rocking chair in the South in like, I don't know, maybe springtime with a bag of boiled peanuts. That sounds pretty good.
Capper, come on down. I'll do it with you.
I was there not that long ago, and you didn't have a single boiled peanut for me.
We also only got to spend like an hour together,
That's
so
true. That's true. It was
2 hours, I
disaster.
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And I picked his brain the whole time. It's usually the other way with me. I was delighting in this.
Somehow I
this
don't think it is.
I mean, I don't know. There are a lot of like creationists who think that Charles Jackson is actually someone who's worth picking the brain of. So I bet that in the circles he runs in, it probably is actually something that happens. But
More
like
they're clanging the sides of his head, I guess.
yeah, right. It's like when you're the biggest Chihuahua, all the other Chihuahuas are impressed by how big you are.
Sure. That's fair.
Brilliant and accomplished, famous man of science who the evolutionists are so angry he's become a creationist.
No,
No.
most people don't even notice.
Or know who he is.
Yeah. The gene gun is cool, but like most people don't have the name of everyone who helped work on the gene gun like in their brain. Yeah.
And a 6,000-year young Earth creationist at that. And at the end of
Borg Emporia says, I need to visit the secret NASA moon base. It's a fun place to be. Do they have boiled peanuts there? Because right now I actually just want some boiled peanuts, honestly. That sounds really good right now.
of our time, Dr. Sanford asked me, well, Dr. Jackson, can I ask you a question? I went, well, I sure owe you. Yeah, sure. He said, you travel all around the country, college campuses and churches and groups all over the country, you debate and everything. He said, I don't do that so much. Do you think there's hope for this generation?
I'm glad at how despairing John Sanford seems to be. And by and large, the answer is mostly no. Like, acceptance of young Earth creationism is at an all-time low in the United States. It's continuing to decline.
Yup.
The next generations are moving more and more away from the ideology of Charles Jackson. And like, yeah, I know that people who think like him are currently in a lot of political power, but they're gonna die. Hopefully soon. And that will
Yep.
change. I know it
It's
doesn't always
just a consistent downward trend.
Yeah, I know it doesn't feel like that right now, and I get it. It doesn't always feel like it to me, but it is true. They're going to die, and for a lot of them, it's not going to be very long. So, and then there just won't be anyone around to pick up those leadership positions, but the next generations who are becoming farther and farther away from everything that Charles Jackson wants them to be.
I'll drink to that.
Sure, why not? I'll take a drink. An abundance of circus peanuts. All right, I mean those are good, but like right now I got what you might call a hankering for some boiled peanuts.
I said, yes, I do, Dr. Sanford. And he said, well, is it happening in 1,000 little places or in big revivals around the country? I said, it's 1,000 little places, little pockets, little places where we see miracles. I saw a miracle today.
I'm very curious as to what this miracle was, because I kind of feel like what he actually saw was just an event that he subjectively deemed to be somewhat unlikely.
I did.
Well,
He is still
oh, we just don't get to
at
hear it. Fun, thanks.
work.
Nope. It happened. Trust me, bro.
Just a
Don't worry
tease.
about it.
Got
Trust
it.
me.
There he is. He's hiding there. God is still working in 1,000,
Wait,
in 1,000,000
Someone
places.
who's there? Oh, did they like convert today? Maybe is that what?
Yeah,
he's
I
referring
mean,
to?
maybe that's what it is. It's like someone said the sinner's prayer today. Like, that's a miracle.
Oh, maybe. Okay. Kind of a
Lie.
lame miracle, but all right.
I don't know. For $5, Joshua Geese says, I've had a fever, and the only cure is boiled peanuts. Yeah. I mean, actually, last night I kind of felt feverish. I thought I might be getting sick, and maybe I am. But right now I'm not feeling too bad. But then again, some of that could be the tequila. Like, you drink enough tequila, and you're going to feel good for at least a little while. Olivia Williams, Purple Fairy for $6.99 Beaverbuck says, seeing Trump decline, how he's becoming a giant brute, his obvious mental decline, I'd be surprised if he sees 2027. I mean, I hope you're right. He certainly was slurring a whole heck of a lot recently. Like more than normal.
Yeah, I have no interest in watching the State of the Union, but I am morbidly curious to see if his ability, or how long his ability to speak works. So,
well, part of the problem is he retains the ability to speak. It's just that it turns into like logorrhea rather than like coherent like discourse.
Yeah.
There's your vocab word for the day, logorrhea. Look it up. It's like diarrhea, but logos. Get it? You get it.
I do get it.
Yeah.
I got saved during the Jesus Freak revival. Maybe the last.
That actually is not very surprising. That seems like one of the least surprising ways for Charles Jackson to have become a Christian is a Jesus Freak revival. Yeah. Okay. In case you guys don't know, the Jesus Freaks were largely a college campus thing that was, I feel like it was prominent mostly in like the 80s and 90s, but I'm not positive. But basically, yeah, it was a college campus revival group that went around and tried to get Christians really excited about their Christianity and also convert people to Christianity. And it was kind of cringy, but like whatever.
Last of the great revivals in our country, but there's an underground revival happening like this sort of thing here.
And yet there isn't. So there's actually been there was a lot of talk, like anecdotally, about like, oh my gosh, Zoomers are about to be the most religious group, generation in decades, and nope, that was wrong. Completely wrong.
Yeah,
in fact.
What actually seems like it might be happening is that the Zoomers who are already in religious households are embracing that to some degree, but like as an actual proportion of the Zoomers, it's still the case that there's an overall decline in religiosity.
Yep, and that's been going on for decades. Like every generation is less religious than the one before it. So,
in some places, the U.S. is one of them, but it's not.
At least in the U.S.,
phenomenon.
sure, in the U.S., yeah, I'd say that
there are places that are becoming more religious over time, but it's not here.
Yeah.
This generation does have hope. I got to pray with Dr. Sanford. I get to meet the most wonderful people. But when I first started creation ministry, all I kept running into were evolutionists. Kenneth Miller, Massimo Pigliucci, Michael Roos, and I was palling with these guys and talking.
Thanks for all the name drops, buddy. I don't care. I'm skipping
Michael
ahead
Roos,
a little bit.
That's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah. I skipped ahead 10 seconds to see if we're getting anything other than this guy being like a name dropper. Because like
I don't think I've actually read any of Roos's work now that maybe I have. Maybe I've read like an essay. It's not a lot.
I don't think
he's like
I have.
philosophy of biology. I don't really run into that kind of stuff very much.
And just wanted to see what you all were doing today. He wouldn't even speak to me. The vice president of the Darwin Coalition, he didn't even know what to say. He froze up.
I mean, many people are often confused when confronted by someone as stupid as Charles Jackson, right? Like
you're stuck. You're baffled. It catches you off guard.
Like if you walked up to like I don't know, some famous astronaut, and you were like, "Hello, sir. I am in fact a flat earther. Would you like to have a deep conversation with me about what I think about science?" My guess is most astronauts would just be like, "No, go away."
Unless it's Buzz Aldrin.
Well, yeah, then he might punch you.
Which good.
Yeah. But like, it's Charles Jackson has such a weird self-image. It's so disconnected from reality. Olivia Williams, Purple Fairy for $6.99 Beaverbuck says, basically the religious ones are just going back to church after COVID. I have not seen how much that might be tied to that, but that does not seem implausible to me.
Yeah.
Didn't think I would come.
Is it that he didn't think you would go to whatever it was, or is it that he was barely aware that you existed and was confused to find
Probably
such
both.
a strange specimen? Okay, maybe.
¿Por qué no los dos?
See,
Spying on what they're doing. Dr. Sanford is
oh right, there was going to be some kind of point to bringing up Sanford, I suppose.
rejects Darwinism.
Because he likes his wife a lot. That's why.
Yeah, how much scientific work did he put out after that rejection of Darwinism there, Charles Jackson?
Well, if you don't count the stuff that actually has been mathematically proven to be false, it's basically none.
Oh, okay. All right. I was curious for a second there.
Let's see. I wasted so much of my life arguing about things that don't matter. In his book, he said, modern Darwinism is built on what I will call the primary axiom, the idea that man is merely a product of random mutation plus natural selection, a constantly mouthed mantra repeated endlessly on every college campus. The primary axiom is actually an extremely vulnerable theory. In fact, it is essentially indefensible.
Weird then that your actual attack on it was just mathematically impossible, and then you rested on your laurels.
True.
If it's so indefensible, you'd think you could find a route of attack that was actually not wrong on the same level as 2 + 2 = 12.
Its academic invincibility derives mostly from bluster, smoke, and mirrors. The axiom is held up by an almost mystical faith which true believers in evolution have in the omnipotence of nature. No, and so it is doubly functional. The first time I heard about this,
he's just summing up. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start wrapping up, and then we're gonna be done with this video. I'm gonna try to find a different Charles Jackson video, which, by the way,
also filmed on a potato.
Yeah, those are not easy to find. Good Charles Jackson videos, by which I just mean ones that are tolerable to listen to, because often the audio or the visual quality is so atrocious that it's kind of torture. So I'm gonna be looking for more Jackson stuff to look at. But if you find any, you being either Good Jackson or you being the audience, please send it to me. The easiest way to get it to me is either my email, that's the channel email. This counts as a business thing, so you're allowed to use it for that. Or on Discord. You can just DM it to me. If you tag me in a post about it on Discord in like my Discord server, what I'm going to do is say, please DM it to me. So if you want, you could skip that interaction and just DM it to me without me telling you to later after you post it in the Discord. So just trying to smooth things out there. Jackson, Good Jackson, what do you got coming up here?
I don't freaking know.
Fair enough.
I guess eventually I'll write the humped bladderwort's tale. I don't know when I'll get around to doing that. I'm so busy, and then every so often I'm deeply saddened about the state of affairs in the U.S. So I do a political video that
either bombs or does amazing.
Yeah, very odd. I did like one on political liberalism, which did horrible in terms of views, but I thought it was kind of interesting to read like John Locke, you know. And then I did Fascism is Here, which did pretty well, did decently, and that just goes through in numerous ways that Trump has undermined our country, you know, our elections, or the sovereignty of other states, which we're, I guess, about to do to another country that we've like screwed over multiple times.
Yay.
I love how our policies towards other countries are like, hey, we might have ruined you with our policies, but that's kind of your fault, isn't it? I mean, I literally read a book recently titled All the Shah's Men by Stephen Kinzer that's about how Iran came to hate us. It turns out Iran actually used to really like us. Especially, like, Truman was on very good terms with the Prime Minister of Iran, Mohammad Mossadegh. And, and they were starting to... So they had their first election. They were starting to, like, give more, like, democratic rights to their like, political body. And then Eisenhower and Churchill got elected. Well, in the case of Eisenhower, he got elected. Churchill got reelected. And they both kind of decided, well, really more Churchill than Eisenhower. He kind of passed it off to the CIA. But Churchill and the CIA decided, hey, what if what if we intervened on behalf of an oil company owned by the British, and we just kind of ended, that whole idea of like political sovereignty for Iran?
Yep.
What if we just kind of did that? And then they hated us ever since.
Jackson,
because of
I gotta say though, we can't have a whole history lesson right here at the very end.
I'm sorry. I apologize. So anyway, maybe I'll eventually get around to writing the Humpbladderwort's tale. We'll see.
Awesome. All right. Well, what's coming up over here on let's see, Thursday. Yep, Thursday. We've got Evolution Disproven by Fish Tans, which is actually a Creation Myths mirror. I was on there with Dr. Dan as well as Dr. Zach Hancock, and we talked about continuous environmental tracking from Randy Galuza, trying desperately to figure out what he's even trying to say. In fact, that's also the topic that I'm working on for my next script, is trying to figure out what the heck continuous environmental tracking even is.
Good luck.
It's there's just nothing there. It's such empty, vapid nonsense. It's not even really much of an idea. Not a bad idea. It barely makes it to even being an idea. Anyway, then later on that Thursday, I believe I will be on Nerd Church with Katie and some of her friends, and we'll be talking about a retired Catholic bishop who's in the award ceremony for a made-up award for Tom Homan, the border czar of the former U.S. Yeah. Then on Friday, the plan is that I will be back on Top Hats Off for Star Trek Adventures. We're doing a Star Trek Endurance. We're going to be doing the Plague of Arias Part 2. So check that out if you haven't. Also, getting a few extra subscribers over there. So hopefully I can grow that channel a little bit. I don't think it's ever going to take over this channel in terms of like how much time I spend there. In fact, I don't plan on it ever doing that. But it would be nice to get it to be at a good place. Speaking of which, this channel only needs, I believe, 15 subscribers till I get to that 15K, where I will have a subscriber special. So, I don't know, send this video to your 15 best friends and your 15 worst enemies.
Nice.
Then on Saturday, I will be back with at least Dr. Kip Davis, I believe. I'm not positive if Vishanti will be back. That will be around the time that she is moving, and so she may not be up for it, but we're going to play that by ear. And then next Tuesday, I will be here for Kent with Bent, and Bent will be wearing a pink tutu because we got to a funding goal last Kent with Bent. So, in the meantime, please, if you have access to it, head over to the Discord because we're going to be watching Godzilla -1, which again, one of the best Godzilla movies in my opinion. All right, thank you so much, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. Stay safe out there, and furthermore, ice must be abolished.
Hey, before you leave, I just want to take a second to thank my patrons and channel members, especially those pledging $20 or above. Siloof, Benthovend, Tapioca Weasel, Sphincter of Doom, Regios, Landon, Ian Chen, Eleron Teller, Phil Ravara, Kelvin Brostok von Manen, David Hercules, Joshua Geese, Pegajace, The Plastic Mouse, Arrow Dodger, Gordon Love Science, Amber Athelian, Prixie Purple, Agricola Siqua, Me, Myself, and I, Edwin M., Kenneth Swenson, Lance Hall, and John Ackerman. It's because of my channel members and patrons whom you're seeing on screen that this channel can stay afloat. Without you, it would all shut down. If you want to join the team, there's a link to join the channel below this video, and there's a link to join the Patreon in the description. On the Patreon, you can get a 15% discount for pledging annually, and either way, you get early access to virtually all of my scripted videos months before they come out for the general public. Thanks for watching.